Hello everybody and welcome to the second video in our series on project management fundamentals. In this video we'll be talking about project planning. Project planning, you say, hold on, isn't that a little bit too fundamental even for this video? Well, have you nailed the ideal balance between planning upfront and planning iteratively along the way as the agile methods propose? Are your stakeholders fully aligned with your agile ways of not being able to predict the world entirely upfront? Maybe planning isn't a walk in the forest after all. Or maybe it is. Different jobs call for different kinds of planning. When I take a walk here in the forest, for example, I do not need to plan it up front. I know the route, I've been here before. If anybody wants an estimate, I can give it. There are many jobs like that. It could be making a report, project report, VAT report. We all have these kinds of jobs that work. Overly planning those doesn't provide value, and it also makes them a lot less fun. If things get a little bit more complicated, I might not be able to overview them quite so easily anymore. If I need to do a renovation at home, I need a bricklayer, an electrician and a painter. It might be a good idea to make a plan up front to make sure that they come in the right order. I might not also be able to do the plan myself. I might need to involve the experts, get their input on how long time that job takes, what materials they need, what it involves, and all of that. But if we sit down together and make the plan together, we can probably come out with something that will hold pretty well in the end. However, when things get more complex, something strange happens. If I need to plant a tree, if I want to invest in stocks, for example, I cannot sit down up front and plan everything out. No matter how many experts are involved, no matter how much we analyze, things will never go as predicted. Here we need to do something different. Here we need to experiment, try something out, see how it goes, and evolve on that. To do that most effectively, we need to get as short iterations as possible. If we can get those learnings fast, that's when we are effective in this world here. In this case even, a large upfront plan and analysis would at best be a waste of time, but it could even hinder us into getting into this experimenting and learning mode that drives success best here. But how does all of this relate to project planning? Well, I guess you can all recognize projects and tasks in the different categories over there, right? The idea is really to treat the different kinds of jobs and projects differently. The simple jobs can be prescribed. We can build best practices for them. We do not need to analyze them. We do not need to sit down and do a big planning work up front. We can optimize on them along the way. We can measure on them, and we can relate them to each other, and we can improve on them, of course, but not through initial planning and analysis work. The more complicated jobs, we can still make a pretty good plan for upfront if we use the right experts and we do our work properly. The waterfall model still works pretty well for these jobs here, and in fact, it is probably the ideal way of executing them as well. In the complex jobs, however, where we're not really able to sit down and plan everything upfront, we need this iterative approach where we learn along the way, we try something out, we do experiments, we might fail with some of them, and that's perfectly okay. We learn along the way, we correct the direction, we pivot, and that's good. And this is really something that screens agile methods, right? And indeed, the agile methods are what really works very well for these complex jobs. And that's really the learning here. There isn't one method that always works for project planning. It's not about agile versus waterfall. It's about having different tools in the box and using the right one for the job at hand. There are many more sides to this, of course, and we've barely scratched the surface here. How do you deal with big programs that contain both complex and simpler parts? How do you deal with projects that start out complex and maybe turn out simpler when they go towards high volume, low variance production? We don't have time for all of that in the video here, of course, but make sure to let us know in the comments what your thoughts are, if you have any reflections, any learnings that you want to share with us. Thanks for now. See you next time.